recently Trump had a meeting with the South African president, Cyril Ramaphosa. He brought up the issues being faced by white people in South Africa. You reviewed this meeting. You were very critical of it. While I will acknowledge that Trump did say things during the meeting that were untrue, and that white genocide is hyperbolic and untrue, it was still a good thing that Trump brought up the topic of the struggles of white people in South Africa, wanting to seek refuge in America because they do have valid concerns. So I have 3 or 4 main arguments. The first one has to do with a party called the EFF, the Economic Freedom Fighters.
Sure. So just as a quick thing, the big issue I'm going to have with this isn't going to come down to the particular arguments relating to what white people in South Africa might face. I think my big criticism for that meeting, and the thing that I feel like is going to undermine the arguments you have, is that if it was the fact that white people in South Africa were facing a threat related to racial stuff, related to maybe white genocide is hyperbolic, but whatever, I would argue that the way that Donald Trump approached that meeting just guarantees that this issue will never be taken seriously, and that whatever opportunity he had to take it a little bit seriously was completely ejected when he sat there like he was looking at brain rot memes for 20 minutes with the South African president like awkwardly looking back and forth between them.
Okay, I don't agree. I mean, I understand what you're saying, that the way Trump does things is a lot of times is awkward and goofy, and people really don't like it.
Wait, hold on. Let me just I wouldn't say awkward and goofy.
Sure,
That's how I would describe like hiring an incompetent clown for a 4-year-old's birthday party. I would say it's unprofessional. It's lacking leadership. I would say it's detrimental to U.S. domestic and foreign interest. Okay. And I would say it's deeply embarrassing for how we're viewed around the world. It's not just a joke. It's like it's really bad, I think. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, for this specific meeting, there were things that he said were untrue, but it was a good thing. They have genuine concerns, and it was a good thing that he brought attention to it in the way that he did, because it got a lot of attention and notice, and it's starting a conversation about it. And while he said some things were untrue, some of the things were true in that, like he talked about the white crosses. Those weren't grave sites, but they were a protest against farm murders, which is a real problem there. And he did show, like, my first main point is the video he showed of the people. It's the Economic Freedom Fighters. It's a political party that they routinely chant, "Kill the Boer," which is white South Africans, "Kill the farmer." They've done this for years, and they've done it as recently as last month. They make up about 10% of the voting bloc. And like, if there was an American party that routinely chanted "kill race whatever," we wouldn't be okay with that and just brush it aside as a non-issue. So
I mean, I won't make any parallels to MAGA right now, because that would be mean. But I guess the issue, I mean, we invoked the Alien Enemies Act to deport Venezuelans under the guise that we're at war with a country because of a gang that exists there. That's kind of crazy, I think, right?
Deportation is not the same as chanting for the murder of people.
That's true. I would argue deporting somebody to like an actual like hostile prison is worse than just a chant. Like we did do that. Like we started to deport people to El Salvador. I think that's really bad, right?
Okay.
Like, but so this is, again, I'm going to reiterate this point. What you just brought up, I don't know anything about that. I might have, though, if Trump would have used that meeting as an opportunity to actually bring that up and actually address it, rather than showing what seemed to be like an actual Twitter highlights compilation.
It's a real video. The video he showed is a real video of a real political, but they're the 4th largest political party in South Africa.
Yeah, I understand, but it's the president of the United States.
And he showed videos of farm murders protesting a real issue.
Yes, but
you can take issue with, there was one photo he showed that was from the Congo, and they weren't technically grave sites, and the guy...
Wouldn't it be better to have like an actual professional conversation about that?
You can always say, how could we have improved the situation? But the point is, he brought attention to the issue, and it's a real issue. Like, yes, I'm talking about it now with you, and it's brought up the national conversation.
Yeah,
there's more videos on YouTube about it.
People have been talking about this issue for like a decade for South Africa, right?
Yeah, it's been an issue, but I think people are talking about it more now since the meeting.
Okay, I would be surprised if anything of substance came out with regards to South Africa. It felt to me, I don't know your feeling on it, but it felt to me like it was a big pet project for Elon, and I think he kind of pushed it onto Trump. I don't know if Trump himself cares about it that much. I would be shocked.
I'm sure Elon feels personally connected because he's from South Africa.
Yeah, I'm sure Elon does. I'm willing to bet that Trump thinks that South Africa just means like the southern part of Africa. He doesn't even know that's a country. That'd be my guess. But I don't see. Do you realistically think in the next few years, do you think the United States is going to make any headway there in terms of pressuring South Africa or, using any kind of soft power or whatever to get them to alleviate whatever issue this is? Or do you think Do you think Trump will talk about it a single time for the rest of the 3 years he's in office?
I don't know what he's going to do, but
isn't that isn't that disappointing? Like,
no,
you don't even know?
I'm making a simple argument.
Sure.
My simple argument is that it was good that he brought it up during the meeting. You can hypothesize about what he's going to do in the future, what he will or will not do. I'm saying it was a good thing that he brought attention to the issue during this meeting. I have a bunch of reasons to say why. I'm dying to say some of them, but you just keep saying I don't like the way he did the meeting, and I acknowledge your issues with the way he did the meeting, but I'm just saying there's real issues here.
I'm sure there are real issues,
talking about it.
But like we can relate this to Iran. I don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons. I actually fully support any strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. But having Donald Trump do it, who doesn't have like a cohesive vision or plan for the Middle East, and then having him explain it, worries me that there will be like a chilling effect on that type of conversation, or that any military action that we do in the Middle East is going to be viewed in such a negative lens because of the way that he's approaching it, because of the way he's spoken about it. Like, it sucks, but optics, when you're the leader of a country and people listen to the words you say, I think are really important. And the idea of kind of squandering the opportunity to bring up a really important issue, like, again, you're not even sure if the president would even bring this up again. And I think that's deeply troubling if it's an issue that we care about, you know?
Mm-hmm. I feel like we're having two different conversations, okay? I'm trying to make one argument, and then you're saying, well, these other things that aren't. Like, do you acknowledge that white people face an issue in South Africa and they may have a legitimate claim to refugee status in America? Or do you still refer to it as like a neo-Nazi conspiracy theory?
Well, I think that I was close friends with some people who believe that were neo-Nazis. I don't know to the extent that there is legitimately white like hunting issue with farmers in South Africa that's based around like repatriation of land that black people feel was stolen from them. That might be a real issue. It might not be. I'm kind of agnostic on it. I lean a little bit on that. I feel like it's a little bit exaggerated by the neo-Nazi people, but I doubt it's a totally fictitious issue. But all I'm saying is, however real that issue is, we're never going to talk about it again in the U.S. because Trump doesn't know anything about it. And the little opportunity...
How do you know that? You're just saying, we're never going to talk about it again. Nothing's ever going to be done. Like, this you start with a conversation. You start with bringing it up, and then we'll see what happens. But you can't just dismiss the topic and say, well, Trump's not going to bring it up again, so we don't need to talk about it now. Or it's
I mean, we can talk about it, but if it was an issue that I cared about, I would kill myself if Donald Trump was the first one to bring it up in that manner on stage. I'd be like, fuck, like, it feels like nobody's going to have any investment in this issue now. And you had like the leader of South Africa here to talk about it, and now you have completely squandered it, right? Like, I guess I wouldn't compare it maybe to the Zelensky talk, but like, that's another conversation where it's like, it's such a bombed convo that regardless of how you felt about it, any opportunity it feels to have any awareness brought on that issue is just completely squandered because of the way that Trump conducts himself. I understand that your conversation, and I'm not trying to deprive you of the notes that you took.
I got a lot of notes. I'm dying to say some of them.
If you want to go through a couple, I'm uncomfortable because I can't push back again to say any of it. But if you want to go through a couple, you can. But I think my primary argument is going to be
Let me hit some notes here.
Yeah, go ahead. Hit a few. Go for it.
Farm murder. So the EFF, I think that's a major issue.
Okay.
Economic freedom fighters. You got the farm attacks and farm murders. The government says that they're mostly robbery oriented and that it's not racially motivated, but I think we have reasons to doubt that. Did you watch Lauren's documentary on it?
Yep.
Okay. So when it came to the Blood Sisters and them describing how, like, a lot of the murders, it's not just like a simple, someone attacking a farmer just to get his property. They're like torturing them to death. Like, she gave an example where they took a 12-year-old boy and drowned him in boiling water. And there's a lot of examples of people being tortured in these attacks, which kind of imply more of a racial hatred motivation rather than just a simple robbery. Did you watch this? Did you have an opinion on that? Or,
I mean, assuming that it's done for racial hatred and assuming like these are ongoing, how many? My understanding is the number of people who've been killed are pretty low when it comes to like farmers for the racial targeting everything, right? Over the past
from what I know, I think it's an average of 500 attacks and 60 murders a year. So
that's a little higher than what I heard, but that might be closer to accurate.
I could be wrong. That's the number I saw today.
Again, I'm not super well read into this issue. I guess I just I don't understand. Like, these are all things that could have been brought up by Trump or somebody.
Okay, could have. You could have done all kinds of things. Okay.
So we're not here to debate South Africa and the genocide. We're here to talk about the guy in the fucking poster, okay?
The video was legitimate.
Okay.
In a sense. It was. So, I mean, they also said that the attacks are higher than what the government is saying. But they also said they couldn't go into too much detail because they work closely with the government, which made me think they're telling the truth because I'm like, okay, well, what motive would they have to lie about it? But if they're saying, hey, they work with the government, so we kind of have to be careful about what we say or we'll get in trouble, to me that shows they don't have a motive to lie. They would actually have a motive to keep quiet about it. So, and just the way they said it made it seem like they were telling the truth to me, that the number of attacks is actually even higher than what the government's reporting.
Then we'll give you one more point off your list. Find a good one, yeah?
I have so many.
I'm sure.
The example of what happened in Zimbabwe, that was really bad. They took land, oftentimes violently, from white farmers, and it led to economic collapse, starvation, hyperinflation, really bad things. We don't want to repeat of that in the South Africa. And they're neighboring countries. And then basically the current trajectory of South Africa is not good. They had a good period from 94, when they got rid of apartheid and Mandela was elected. They had a good period of consistent economic growth every year, including a growing black middle class from like 94 to 2008. But then around 2008, everything changed because they didn't invest in their power grid, and President Zuma got elected, and he was really corrupt, and the government's been basically really corrupt since then. And so the government has a crumbling infrastructure, stagnating economy, high unemployment, high crime. And this is, I don't want to just focus on the white people. This is even worse for the black people.
Sure. Okay.
So it's worse for everyone.
So I guess my only question, and I'll give you the last word on this. My only question is if there's an issue that you feel passionately about, if there's an issue that you read into, and it's an issue that you'd like to see improve, I don't understand how you couldn't be so irritated watching Trump just completely waste an entire potential meeting where he has the world.
He brought up the issue, not in the perfect way, but he brought it up. I could be wrong, I never saw Biden bring it up during his presidency. At least he brought it up. Maybe he didn't do it perfectly, but at least he brought it up.